Hello everyone. Let's start today's tech talk. And I think we would like to discuss more on the previous week's discussion. Continuing on it, we discussed that we'll formulate a document where we will first accumulate what all documentation we would like to have, and then parallelly we'll start on the execution of it. I've shared a document with all of us. It's in Project Thoth Drive, so it should be accessible to everyone with edit privileges. Uh, so this is the issue which we were discussing based on this. So there was this few topics which I had pulled in from existing existing topics. Maybe we can start on top of it, or we can say if we actually need all of those information or not. So Kavishit, I think that's a big one, right? We would definitely want to have that. Uh, or, so what should we have in Kavishit and things like that? How would you like to start this, Niva?
Is Kebashek gonna still have its own website? If it's more of a bigger project, should it have its own site? And this just link, I guess, just reiterate what's like kind of on the main page of the Kebashek website, or what will be on the main page of the website. So just including like what it does, who it's for.
I think we need a landing page or whatever we call it. If you're going to install that GitHub application, you're going to end up somewhere, which is basically explaining next steps. That is something that we need to have. And I think otherwise the README is pretty okay-ish. I can't recall if it is picking up the 2 topics or 3 topics that you guys had last week. Like, what is the goal of this one? What is the design, and maybe technical things. I think reiterating over these 3 headlines might be interesting, right? So why do we have Kebashek? What is the goal that we are trying to achieve with that? It is basically applying our knowledge to software stacks. So what is the design? Well, we designed it we designed it to be as human as it could be. Talk a little bit about the bot character, the GitHub, pull requests, issues. That is how we control the bot, or how we called it to action. And then talk a little bit about the technicality. Like, there's that YAML file you can use for configuring stuff. If we're going to repeat that structure, these 3 topics over and over again, it feels to me like, yeah, let's put it in the README. That's the only thing where we're going to land or end up. And let's have a separate document on what's happening after I installed the GitHub application. Plus all the technical documentation which comes out of nowhere, right? The API documentation and so on and so on and so on. Does that make sense? What I'm talking about?
Is that too much information just for the landing page, though?
It depends on how long the sentences are, I guess. But I think something like the why should be on. What do you mean by landing page? Do you mean the README or the landing page after GitHub install?
I thought this was the list of projects we have, and each one we're just giving a quick summary and maybe who it's for, where to find it, where to contribute. So link to dev, user doc, or that I might be wrong. Is that not what we're looking at right here?
Yeah, I think that's the way. So last time after we discussed this view is not enough. For front face would be like a short description of Thoth, and then if you are a user, then you click here. If you're a developer who wants to contribute, click here, right? So we are talking in two perspectives. So if you are a user and you click on get started, how would you land to Cavished? Should we, so let's say we had like boxes of each thing or all the topics which we have, and they click on Cavished. So technically they would land on uh, slash Cavished, I guess.
I think it's
So you will reach here. Is it enough for us as a user? That's what you want to discuss, right?
Okay. You're right. I was looking at the Cavished README and what information might be useful in there. If we are looking from the perspective of the website, that might indeed be a little bit too much information in that case. So
yeah, and also,
go ahead.
sorry, yeah, just another thing we mentioned last week was you were suggesting about pointing to the README, but one thing we mentioned is that there are different places where we have documentation at the moment, and they all look different. Like this Cavished page looks in a way, the main website looks in a different way, the help page is different, and each things docs look different. We said we should probably unify kind of the look and feel of everything. So on one side unifying, but on the other side also making it more clear, that separating more or making more clear separation of the type of content, and to make it easier to find, at least.
But I guess then README pulled into the website is not good enough, or is the Cavished README good enough for that one?
I think okay. So is it good enough? That's a separate question. The question is if we enable the README, if we put the README as well as it could be, can we formulate into website? Is that enough for us? That's what we have been doing, right? We are formulating everything into the README because it's easier for a developer. If they don't want to go to the website, they can always go to the GitHub.
Yes.
So that's how I see it. Even if a developer goes to Thoth Station and from there they want to trickle down, they still see the same content which is on the README. So we don't have to maintain it two places. Website, I see it for user, we have to make it more enticing. So that's why I can see it like we are writing something more in there. But for developer, if you are putting two different content, I mean, that's too much work for ourselves. That's why I think pulling it from the README seems to be that would be my vote.
Can you say that again? The user needs a little bit more information or documentation. That's what you said?
Yeah, more or less, right? It could be they don't want all the information. They just want a less information. So that's why we want to keep a concise thing. But for the developer, we want to have everything same as we have. So the README, pulling the data inside from the README to a website is where I would put my vote for the developer side.
So the developer who needs help for maintaining software stack, blah 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 blah. That's the person we are talking about, the developer. He's good at the README. That's good. I'm just confused about the user. I wonder who is that user of Cavished that is getting more or less information.
So the developer which you spoke is the user. They are developer. They are the user. They right now they don't want to go into the README. What they want is how do I install it? If I install it, what are the features I'm getting? They don't want to know what are the features, how do they work, but they just want to know, okay, these are the features. If I click on this is what I'm expecting. Something like that.
Makes sense. Got it. Makes sense. Yeah.
And the other part was the contributor who is really interested to do it in Hacktoberfest. How do they start?
Got it.
So that how to use it from a user point of view is actually, I believe, what currently is in the second link. If you click that one, that's basically, there is a quick start here. Again, maybe not consistent with other parts, but yeah, the quick start should, well, actually, the quick start is a mix between users and developers, because there's also a way of running locally, which is more developer oriented.
So that's another topic, right? We should discuss on what's the acceptance criteria for us, what we are setting for ourselves, what is the acceptance criteria for the user developer, and what's the acceptance criteria for a contributor.
Mhm.
And at this for this one, everyone is open to give suggestions, right? It's nothing. You don't need any technical information on this. It's more on how do you, how would you like to see the website to be, or be more useful.
And the user slash developer needing help by Cabashet, that's the persona we are talking about here, right? We're gonna give like 4 steps, and you are done with setting it up, right? So it's really action items that we're gonna give people, like click here, click there, and you are done. Right? It's to quickly onboard somebody using the stuff. Is that what we see here? What we want?
Sorry, I was typing and I didn't get. Can you repeat that?
Yes. What we want here is a pretty concise list of action items that you go through, and afterwards you have installed the service. You can have a look at it, maybe reconfigure it. We're going to point you in some direction, but the basic configuration is done. It's up and running. And we're going to point you into other directions, like where to get support. But the goal is like, do these 3 steps and you're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as Pep said, right, we can probably move these things here, but we still have to move like this thing, like maybe onto the main page, like instead of having it on a button. Like how do you go? You click on this and then you install it, with probably with
Yes.
some images, things like that.
Exactly. That would be that is one part of the onboarding, right? Okay. We put a short overview why we have Cabashet, like just one sentence why, or is it too much?
Can we are not restricting anything. We can always pull things out of it. But as of now, we have nothing on the website. So putting more details makes sense.
Is these bulleted lists somehow fancy? Ah.
here, sorry, taking one step back, because we're diving a lot into details of Quebec specifically, but I think that the idea here was to first go top down, right? So like from a landing page where you have, we don't want, the landing page will not be Quebec, right? Because there's also the rest. So maybe we need to cover this first, and then for consistency with other components, decide what do we want to present.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we can go on top and start from there.
Gauge. Hasn't Gauge written down at the bottom?
I wrote down a suggested structure for the landing page, and then a suggested flow of what a user might do, starting at the website, going into more specifics of installation or contribution or whatever.
Yeah, I think that is something that we should be clear about, right? If you are a Python developer, or in the future maybe a Java developer, this is your journey. Start here. We're going to show you what to do, blah, 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 to use our stuff. That is the general theme, right? There's a persona running or traveling a journey. That is what you named navigation flow. Is that correct?
But I think that split between different users should happen in the landing page, not the website. The website should be a place to show what projects we have and sort of like, this is Advisor. This is how we can use Advisor. Mm-hmm. Press on whatever one you want to go to the landing page, and it tells you, okay, if you're a developer, you can go and contribute here. If you are, if you're just a user, here's how you can install it. If you want to look to see about some more developer examples or more user examples, click here. Something like that.
That's more what Kevin basically pointed out. Hey, here's a big bunch of stuff. We have different sections, and in these sections we have products or services or projects, right?
Right. I don't think the landing page should necessarily be like on the website. I think the website should like kind of pull sections of the landing page to highlight, because we have enough projects where we don't want to just flood the entire website with a bunch of things. We should say like, Advisor, this is our thing, and then here's the top ways you can use it: Kebashet, Thamos, S2I, whatever, and then maybe some other minor ones, or more like developer-y ones. But then you can link to the landing page, which shows you, okay, here's everything we provide, and quick summaries on each one and how to use it, and links to their more specific documentation. So it's sort of like user is flowing through what they want to use. Like, okay, I want to use Advisor, but how do I use it? Oh, I'm a developer. I want to kind of contribute to it. That's how I see it working, or how a user would use it.
Yes.
Like splitting them up as developers and users, or Java developers right away.
Yeah, agreed. But I think that is something that's happening, right? Because not everybody is interested in an advice. So it is anyway looking at the developer persona. But that split off gonna happen a little bit later. On the top level, we're just gonna talk about, hey, we have Advisor. It's basically a cloud-based resolver for your Python, blah, blah, blah. That's what we do. That is why I copied the nextredhat.com site in. I think it is very similar to the all products website, but also gives that, here's nextredhat.com, a little like 5 sentences or what it's all about. Does that make sense? Is it very similar, or what is the aspect that you were looking at, Kevin, as you showed the all Red Hat products page?
Sorry, what's the question?
What is interesting about the all Red Hat products website? Why did you paste that as a good example?
I just thought it gave good short descriptions for if you're going through and wanting to learn about products really quickly. Like you scroll through and are like, that's interesting. I'll click on that one because that interests me. And then from there, it could take you to maybe like the product landing page with developer or user documentation.
Is it the same thing or the same structure that you had on your mind, Gage?
Yeah, I mean, the same flow. It's you start with the very general, and then you kind of go into the product's landing page, and that takes you to developer, user, whatever you want to do with it.
Yes, and I think the next redhat.com, Harshad, if you switch back the tab, they have very similar structure for whatever reason, I don't know, but they got that nice "we are" in the top of the page, right? It's a little bit too much because you don't see any product. I think just from an impression point of view, you should immediately see what we are offering. That is too much text on, at least for my feelings. Don't know about you. This is too much text, but it feels like we should have something like that. Here's Project Thoth. We're gonna solve something for you. This is it, like 2 sentences.
Awesome. So we are talking about how we are going to change this front page, right?
Yes.
So we want to have all the bunch of projects here, and then once someone clicks, that's when we want to give that view. So let's start with the list of projects. Shall we start from there, or where would others would like to start from?
I think, do we want to put like sort of a hierarchy of products, because some products are implementations of other products? So maybe it's best to say what's kind of like a pyramid of Thoth. Start with advisor at the top or whatever we have at the top, and it trickles down into different integration points.
Yeah.
It's complicated though, because you can look at it from different angles, right? So you can, so you can think from technology, let's say, advice, but you can also look at it from where to use it, like the integration point. I just want to use get ahead on my repos, or I just want to use it from the command line. Yeah, so.
That is very true. Given the fact that we are talking about work, like effort we need to do, we should come up with a prioritization, right? I think we have a structure in mind now. Maybe we have a design in mind how we're going to put all that stuff, but the structure seems to be pretty clear. So wouldn't something like a prioritization, like this is the first topic we're going to tackle, be helpful? Is the list of pinned down repositories on our GitHub org the priority? So we got Cabershed in here, right? If you want to do something to your source code, Cabershed is the thing. It is basically how we apply our knowledge. There's also Thamos that needs to be somehow interwoven, right? It's the how we apply something. Then we got the prescriptions as one way how to organize our knowledge. This is what we got. If you know something and you can express it as a prescription, our advisors will benefit from it. Advisors is also interesting. So we should talk about that. It's not on the list because it's very limited what we can put on the pinned repositories, but that seems to be a natural flow, right? At least to me. I wouldn't put too much focus on the technology itself, because it's always a why that we should answer. That we have prescriptions is basically answering how do you extend your knowledge? Because you have understood that if we extend that knowledge, you will benefit from it. So I don't know if I would go into a lot of technical blah blah blah. Talking about priority, right? So if we are taking like Cabernet and Thamos, this is how you apply. If we are talking about prescriptions, this is what we got. Advisor going to use all that stuff, so that is also interesting. And then put like support and talks on it. Maybe something very different like micropipenv is also good to show off. That seems to be a good first list of things we can think about. I'm talking too much. Pep, remind me, I'm talking too much.
Is prescriptions like directly used by users, or is it just something that helps you, like users? Like, are users not going to go to the prescriptions page and directly use it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think
Well,
something like that.
I think that there is a contributor side, hopefully, to prescriptions. I think it's open to contribute your knowledge to the knowledge base, right? So yeah, I mean, I think it should be listed somewhere and mentioned. There are tutorials, there are examples, that are contributor oriented, and maybe some of them are even for interested users, say, in terms of understanding what's behind it. But
yeah, I mean, if you bought our story, right, we can give you an advice that is making your software stack better. You can apply it via command line or Cabernet. If you bought into that story, one of the questions would be, but what is your knowledge? Where does it come from? How can I put my requirements, my corporate's knowledge into your database? That is where I think, should talk about prescriptions, because it is an automatically aggregated, blah, 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 curated, blah, 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 blah thing that we extend.
So what I'm hearing is we should have this whole story of what like advisor or like what knowledge we produce. So at the top, we sort of have a general description of what our knowledge is, what we're like what we're giving the user. We're like, oh, this is how we do it, which is our prescriptions, advisor repos, and then like, oh, here's how you can use it. Here's how you can contribute to it, and kind of this flow with different like sections of our website. Each section kind of tells a story or a part of our main, I guess, goal to provide to the user, whether it be integration points or how it's actually put together.
Yeah, I
so
think.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
No,
for it.
I mean, this comment makes sense in the sense, maybe we should think about it from a user story point of view. Like, as a Python developer, I come to this website and I should see a description of something that resonates with me, with the pain point I have every time I do pip install or something like that, and think about the structure from that point of view. Like,
if you look at the All Red Hat products page again, they have something called sections. Right? Maybe that is something that we should think about. Cabernet and Thamos is, or maybe no, Cabernet and Tecton pipelines is integration. Thamos is command line tool doing the same stuff.
Yeah, but if you call it integration, nobody will click there. I mean,
I don't care what we call it, but I think you're right in we need to have some kind of categorization sections around it, because it should be clear what Cabernet is used for.
Yeah, but I mean, it should be something that is meaningful to newcomers, for example, or well, in general. So the sections would be, I mean, dependency resolution is something that sounds familiar to people. Dependency advice is less familiar to people, so we should maybe try to think on how to put it this way. right?
Slowly introduce them to our lingo or our projects.
That is correct. But is having sections a good idea, or having categorization an idea that we want to implement? Or is it basically not required because we are pretty much static in our universe? There will be not like integrations popping up like crazy. I don't know.
I still think laying it out as like different granularities, starting with our top highest priority stuff, and then going down to integration points, then going down to how it's constructed is a good way of showing it. Because I mean, at the top, we're trying to get the user's attention by showing them what we're doing. So,
Yes.
and then how we can use it and how I can contribute. So I think we don't want to flood them with a bunch of stuff at the top.
Yes. So next, Red Hat.com is calling that stuff focus areas like storage and edge and Kubernetes. That is something that we don't want to show off, right? We just basically go with our projects and explain it in a short phrase what the project is, having that box on the front page, and then we're going to drill into it. And on the next level, we're going to split up in personas, talking about the user who is really a Python developer, which is using Cabbage on his repositories. He has 3 steps to install that stuff. And if you want to go deeper, think about the managers you want to configure, right? Do you really need the version manager? For what reason do you want it? Stuff like that. So this is really the day-to-day work of the user in that case. These are the levels, right? No categories, no projects, no focus area, no sections. I mean, that clustering is somehow inherent in our thinking, but we don't show it to the people. Is that what we are thinking? Yeah, and I think the whatever we call it that Kevin gave, like where's knowledge coming from? How do we generate it? How is knowledge organized? Prescriptions again. Then doing the dependency resolution. That seems to be natural topics or sections or categories. As I said, it feels like they are inherent in our thinking anyways. Make sense or
Yeah.
not?
I still think we need to make that extra effort. That's why it's a kind of using common language for things, like instead of advisor, especially if not in the first page, like in the main website, talk about things that people. I mean, we can mention it, but not without context. So. Yeah.
Is it something that we shall embed in larger stories? I mean, advisor prescriptions, the Thamos library, that all seems to support dependency resolution, obviously, right? So the larger story is we are doing dependency resolution not only on version number, but on a bunch of more interesting information. Therefore, we created PLA prescriptions and we aggregate all that knowledge into our database. You can query it by tools like Thamos. And what you want from our knowledge base is that you're going to get an advice and pinned down software stack plus justifications. Is it that we should describe something like that so that we show people what we are talking about so that they can find themselves in that picture and just pick up our language?
Yes, but starting with their language. For example, not starting talking about Tamos, but talking about command
correct,
line, for
correct.
example, or something like.
Yes. Yeah, I think Gage, you said it. It's slowly pushing them in our schoolyard and talking our language. Yes, that is correct, Pep. Not starting with Tamos.
Nothing against Tamos or Quebec.
Or any of the names.
So is the real question now how we want to display it? Should we create a Figma page and then iterate over that, or?
I think the real question is, do we take Cabernet as the first thing? Do we take Thoth search as the first thing? Because it feels like we have a method now. We know what we want to do. So the one of the two main questions is, which is our prime example? And the second question is, how shall it look like? But that, I don't know.
Well, I think our
Don't
prime
call it
example is different for each person. That's why we kind of want to start with the just broad and then say, okay, here are our prime examples, or like Cabernet or Damos, S2I, whatever, however someone wants to use it.
Oh, right. Yes. I was using prime example as, for us, the highest priority, because we have a limited amount of workforce available. So, so what is the subject we're going to iterate over first? I mean, we have a pretty good grip on Cabernet because we filled out that section a little bit. Maybe that is the first one to go with. No. What about the design? Any thoughts on design stuff?
Do we want to make a Figma page and do iterations over that, or do we want to like fill out all the information in the back, so all the landing page stuff first, and then actually start making the website updated?
What do you think?
I think if we create the website without anything to link to, then it's counterintuitive, but
well, we have stuff to link to.
But
so technically speaking, if we want to create one of these boxes on the landing page, on the first page, if we want to create one of these boxes, what will it be? Is it something like an highlighter box.md that lives in every repository and we're gonna mount into Gatsby? Or do we completely go away from that again and say we're gonna use I don't know, Drupal for stuff like that? Because it feels to me like if we start designing a website and show off the structure and stuff like that, and we really follow our own journeys, then we will figure out which content we need to update up highest priority, right? If we're going to create that info box on Cabernet and link to the Cabernet README and recall that we want to show the developer the 3 steps, then we know what we need to change. We need to change the install markdown on the Cabernet README. That is how I think about it. Make it shiny, show off the structure, get clear on our priorities, follow our journeys, and that will trigger the changes that we need.
Okay, I like that idea. Do we want to iterate over?
Let's figure out. I can't. Harshad, I know why you're wearing your jacket, but maybe that reason changed. Do you like that idea too?
I do.
No, Harshad.
Oh, I can't see other people. I can just see.
For me, it was too many words. So
damn it! Thank you.
If Gage understands it, it's great. I mean,
yes.
Essentially, you're saying just create the website how we want essentially we're making the user stories on the website, and then that will guide us to what is important.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. So if we pick, if we think for whatever reason that Thoth storages is the hottest thing in town, and we're going to iterate over that info box first, I'm pretty sure we will figure out what we need to change so that users, Python developers, understand how to use Thoth storages. Same for the contributor story. If we are looking at Thoth storages and think in the contributor persona, I'm pretty sure we will figure out what we need to change. Maybe nothing, maybe a lot. But I think that is the exercise here. Come up with a website, figure out which are the most important things we're going to put on first, iterate over our user stories, and see what we need to change. I can't make less words on that one, Harshad. Did you guys, by the way, see that Google Meet is putting summaries in our chats now?
Yeah, scary.
Scary or not, was it helpful? So
that's what we decided the last time, right? Like we decided, okay, these are the topics which we should focus on, and let's dig on them.
Yes. Which
And
one?
The ones which are under components.
Yes.
And if we are saying this is what we need to do, for the way I was understanding it is all this is good, but if we know, okay, we need bits on Cavished, then we can start, someone can start working on it. If we can figure out what all things are missing, everyone can pick stuff and work on it simultaneously instead of we just waiting, oh, let's first do Cavished and let's see if people like it.
Got it.
By that time, others are like, then we just need 2 people, 3 people. We don't need this discussion of team.
Got it.
That's how I see it. So based on this information, we have all the knowledge here. Like if someone wants to go to storage, they can go here. The whole point is how do we fit it in this page, right? If you say, let's put 4 boxes, we say Cavished, Thamos, and let's say S2I. That we have done it. We put the documentation from here. Is that enough? Is there any documentation missing? That's what I would like to know.
Can't tell.
More than missing, I think the problem here is in what we have discussed around the organization, how to get there. I mean, Thoth storage is being in the same, like 1 click away from that first page might be a bit too close if you want. And it's this list here, it's a mix of, it's not the same Thamos or it's difficult to relate Thamos to AICO ECI to OpenShift S2I, if you see what I mean. So
if you're gonna click on OpenShift S2I, please, Harshad, we will be redirected to the README.
Yeah, same with the moon.
Yes, correct. So there's no info box on the README, right? There's no 2 sentences of why do we have that component? What is it doing for me? This is missing. So I'd say if we're going to go through that and try to figure out what is the info box, do we have it? Do we not have it? Do we need to add it? That is part of your answer, right, Harshad?
Yeah. So let's
let's
just clear out just the layout page, and we can discuss the rest later, right? So on the landing page, based on this information, we are saying we want on the website we want dependency resolution, and then the points about that, right? And from there we will navigate to rest of the things. Is this something everyone agrees, everyone understands?
I understand it. I'm not sure right now if it's everything or not.
The question is not about everything, but is this the good point to start on? because we are already reaching the time for today, and
Yeah.
if is it fruitful enough to start something is what we should focus on for now.
Say it again. So we're going to create the landing page, right? The website itself.
So on the landing page, we want a little description what Thoth is
Exactly.
doing, and that is dependency resolution. So we want to do, well, we want to put that information. So based on the ideas, how are we starting it? I think you and Gates said you understood what we were trying to do, right? Can you just simplify on that word? Like, what are we going to do on the first page?
I think on the first page, we're going to come up with that one sentence. And in that sentence, we're going to link to other pages, right? If you're going to continue with the idea of this is complicated. I don't know how to answer your question.
Yeah.
But what we will also see is all the info boxes, right? With that, why do we have it? What is it doing for me? So it is a good question. How do we circle back in that info box universe to the dependency resolution story?
So these two, let's start with these two then. We put a little description about Thoth, then on the first half of it, we'll start with the resolution story, and then we'll point out all the tools. So if someone clicks on it, they go to chemistry, they go to Thamos, and things like that.
Yes, I think that is not what I would call tools, but that is
How to use it, or
Getch, how do you call these gigantic things? This is called jumbo box. The one slug. What?
People call them cards.
Yes. But it's basically, if you scroll up here, we're sorry, Harshad, if you scroll up, this welcome to Red Hat emerging technology, blah blah blah. This is the first part, right? How do we call that?
I think it's called sections, right?
Yeah, sections and header.
Okay.
Each one of those little boxes are just cards.
How do we call the resolution story? That is one section, right? So we have an introduction section or an overview section and a resolution story section.
Yep. And then at the bottom, we could have how it works section if we want to go more into detail and show off.
Okay. Do we fit all that stuff on the screen estate we have available? So introduction is like two lines. The resolution story is, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 lines. And then we're going to have all the boxes, right?
I see it as each section has a title, a short description, and then maybe 3 or 4 cards or boxes showing what we're trying to highlight, and maybe a button to say see more. And then each section goes down what we're describing. So
okay, so you are mixing the cards into each and every section so that we don't have a general overview of all the cards, all the projects, right?
we can and we should, but that shouldn't be on the main page. That should be a separate page, like
projects or
projects.
whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
And that shows some filterable list of cards.
Unsure about filterable, but yes,
Well,
got
you
it.
can filter it by like this is an integration point, this is a knowledge generation point, or however we want to tag them. We don't have to though.
How do we call that first page? If you just do Thoth Station Ninja. What do we call that page?
Root home. It's the one that is currently there, right?
Home page. Sounds like MySpace or something. So on that homepage, we got the section, short introduction, what we're going to do. It's basically advice on resolving software stacks or guidance service, blah, 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 whatever, cards in there. And that's it. And after that resolution, we would basically have something like knowledge aggregation from the open source community. That's basically the second what we're going to do. Again, sections in there, cards in there, talking about the projects. And beside that home page that we just described, we're going to have some project page.
Mhm.
Where we basically have all cards. That's it. Searchable or not, don't care. But we have all these cards over here. Right?
Yeah, very similar to how that Red Hat page looked, which just showed giant list.
Right.
I don't know if it was the other one, the all products page.
Yes.
Probably even more simple than this.
Do we have like if I click on that card, on the Cabashet card, where do I end up? Is it something like /Cabashet on Thoth Station Ninja?
I would.
Is,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess like in the perfect world, I would want it to go to a different page on Thoth, on this same theming. It would go here, and it would basically be a simple little page showcasing what it is in different, kind of like how the product page works, where you press on it and it like shows different cards. Like, oh, this is how we can go and contribute. But
yeah, agree. So I'm gonna click on the Cabashet card. I'm gonna end up at /Cabashet. Same website, same design, same UI, same look and feel, blah 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 blah. We're gonna have more details on Cabashet, basically resembling the README.
it's essentially a landing page for the project. We honestly could just link it to the project itself. It's README, and people look through that. But
yes. And that is where we're going to split up into different personas, where we're going to talk about the Python developer who needs help on the repository, have that 3 steps to install stuff. So it's basically one click away. The installation manual is one click away from the home page.
Yeah, I think so.
Great. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I like it too. Awesome. So shall we conclude the meeting for today? Or do we want to add more thoughts to this today?
My question is, if Gage is going to leave us for quite some time, in a little bit of time, how do we come up with that initial homepage?
So this is not for this sprint cycle. It's a discussion for the sprint cycle. So I think we can keep on planning on these things, right?
Do we want to make a Figma page just so I can lay it out? So we don't make something that everybody, it's not what they were thinking in their head, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or is that going to be extra work that we don't want to do?
I don't know. If all you guys got me excited, so I would say let's use that momentum. Don't care about sprints and stuff. I know that's exactly the wrong thing to say, but I'm always in the mood like, let's grab some Hugo, let's grab an template that is fancy and helpful and generate something we can touch.
Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna reuse the same styling, or are we gonna like use a different framework?
I don't care. It should be usable for us. If you think that the Gatsby feature of Git including a README file is super valuable, let's do it. Let's use Gatsby and blah, blah, blah. If you think that structuring all that stuff with a static site renderer in Python, yeah, let's do that. I'm unsure about all that stuff. It should be easy to use for us, right?
Does it matter if I just rewrite the whole thing and then do it in a different framework, or do we want to keep this?
How much time do you need for that one?
I
I mean, if
almost
you
think it would be easier to rewrite it, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, that's also all of us, I guess. Rewriting is always easier. I don't know. So, I mean, we're gonna update the style and the design and all that, blah blah blah. Anyway, so we're gonna touch style sheets and images and stuff like that. I really like that Markdown Git source capabilities of Gatsby. I actually don't know if that is the only framework that is doing that stuff. I doubt it, but it's handy because that way we can really keep all the stuff in Git repositories and just include it. And I think it should be a static site generator so that we can host the page on GitHub again.
Yeah, Gatsby will be able to do that. That's how the Thoth helps sites hosted statically.
Yes. Let's do
Awesome.
it.
So
Gatsby, it is, but same
I don't.
theme.
I'd
Do you have
say
preferences?
it's your
Uh,
call. I don't care.
I would say let's invest a little time on looking if we can have these markdowns for Gatsby and then do it in Gatsby. First saying let's do it in Gatsby and then we figure out after some time how we are hitting this blocker that would make our lives a little harder. Guess that's why we had this another issue of checking which fits us more, right? Which framework. Let's do that.
Talking about the document, the dev docs that we
Yeah.
having troubles. Okay, yeah, I can look into that again.
I need to drop. I need to find some money. Thanks for that very good discussion. As I said, you got me excited. Let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I think
Thanks.
we can conclude the meeting here. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers.
everybody.
Bye.